Howdy, howdy. We are resuming our prime time streams. ¿Por qué no? It's one of those days, one of those times. All right, so let me just make sure everything's working. I'm waving to myself. And yes, there is a crazy delay as always. All right, cool. Looks like I'm here. Looks like it's happening. I'm just going to copy this link, paste, and we'll get right into it. Because why wait? As you guys can check out the shop. All right, cool. So may I just share everything with you and we will dive right into it. Since I gotta finish this art, because the art is stacking up. I'm not, I used to be ahead of my husband. He's like, all right, you gotta like start drawing more stuff now because I'm running out of drawings to color, and now it's the opposite. I'm like, all right, take a break, take a break. I know you want to. I know you have your artistic, expressive urges, um, and but I got all this art stacked up now, and I have to finish it. And try not to forget anything. Because by the way, this art that we're working on now, it's old art from years ago. Art I've just forgot to color, and now it's a game of catch up. And I'm only on letter L. So there's a big folder with files waiting to be tended to, and this is what we're doing. While meanwhile, my husband is trying not to draw as much. It's easy because he always has other projects he can do. I'm gonna try to make this tongue. I don't know. This is all really weird. It's like the dog is licking its own chest that is hollow and is see-through, I think. And that's abstract art for you. All right. So let me just make sure its head is all right. And there are no interruptions in lines. In lions. In lines. All right. That looks good. That looks good. I'm sure I will miss something, and the most inappropriate moment, I will find out about it. But the luxury that the technology grants us is that we can press Command Z and undo everything. Or if you're on the PC, what is it like? Control Z? I don't know. Whatever it is on PC. Undo. I forget. I have a PC, and it's a struggle. It's always a struggle. I'm still not used to it. And I guess it's not the worst piece of machinery. I have HP. But dealing with Windows can be challenging sometimes. Um, all right. Everything looks pretty good. The only thing I'm thinking now, I might trim this a little bit here. See where the grass ends? There's kind of like an empty space, which is no big deal. I can always fix that. All right. Let's see. Well, let's give this grass some sort of more of a pastel type. Let's make sure it's with what. All right. See, something went wrong here, and we're gonna find out where there's an interruption in the line. All right, well, back to the paintbrush and let's follow this. See where the gap is. It's not in a paw. It's not here. All right. Um, Obviously, it's not here. Where the heck is it? There's one of these ones. See, sometimes the line is so, but sometimes I reinforce it. But this is still not the problem. Maybe this? This would be insane if it's this. That tiny little gap could make such an impact. Um, that's the only one I can think of. All right, let's try it again and see if it works now. And it looks like it worked. So it was that tiny little gap. Wow. All right. So I like this bluegrass motif that's happening here. I'm going to add a little more blueness, agave blue type um, little grass leaf blades in here. I actually might even just grab a brush and do a little bit of highlighting and see what it looks like. And I guess we're going to try to go for that bluegrass type of feel. And I'm also almost thinking, let me see what I can do with the symmetry. Obviously, I'm going to go quickly into brushes and see what I have. And I'm thinking maybe this might work. And I know I'm talking to myself here right now. Um, all right, this isn't too bad, but maybe let me just a little bigger. All right, this could work, partially because it has this kind of. So I'm just using like a marker brush. And what about this one? Sorry, I'm just seeing what works. Oh, that's a little too obvious. Let's go back to the other one. Let me just check this one out too. Yes, it's going to be that kind of stream. Oh, she's just sitting there checking out. This was neat. Checking out brushes, brush strokes. Yes. All right. So since this is grass, and what I like about this brush is that it actually has that pointy shape to it. I'm in markers, so that kind of helps. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to go back to the colors and just have slight variation in the color and be a little closer to the line. So we're going to have this very subtle type feel here. And this is going to help just visually create more of a dimension in the drawing. And like I said in the previous streams, this is something I find works for the kind of art I do is adding all these little subtle details subliminally creates more of a movement and gives you more of a, like, let's go closer to the line here, more of a play and movement in the grass, as you can see, because if you look out into the world, nothing is one solid color. And depending on the light and where the sun is and where it's moving to, there are all these just thousands, millions of varieties of colors. And we're just in this particular art piece, this is what I'm trying to emulate, just that movement. I like this brush. I don't usually go on and start discovering brushes. Kind of pretty glad I did it. Maybe this will result in me experimenting with different brushes more. I'm just gonna make this a little bit skinnier. And also, yes, just like we're providing variety in colors, you also want to change the size of the brush too, from bigger to smaller, and see how that what that looks like. And just add a little more here and there of variety in color. Just like we're gonna have this blue grass here. Can always go just slight varieties, a little more purple, a little more green, a little more blue. And I'm not gonna do all of them, but just some for that extra oomph. And also I want to zoom out, and as you can see, it's very subtle. I should visit this corner. Yeah, the marker brushes do look like mm, blades of grass. It's pretty convenient. Um, what was I talking about? So yes, when you zoom out, you see that color play. Pretty neat, I think. And like I said, you don't need to do it on every line. I'm not going to. And I just change color and just give it volume. All right, so it looks like there's something. This still feels a little empty. So maybe I could fill some. Almost like it when it comes out outside of the line. Also, gives it that more of an Asian vibe of ink drawing when you draw with those brushes. Something I always wanted to try. Maybe one of these days, after I figure out watercolor. We have all of that sitting in the other room. I find it somewhat sad, though, that art moved into the digital realm, and a lot of it is, I guess, gifted artists, but it's so sterile, and there's no character in art that I see. I don't know, it's just apathetic art. And the computer is doing most of the work for you, anyways. Um, and I don't know, but that's what sells, I suppose. Pathetic art. It still feels a little thin here. And we can correct that. It's funny, I didn't intend to do any of this and seem to be kind of having fun with these marker brushes. I feel like it was somewhat of a good idea to pursue this. All right, subtle. You don't necessarily see it right away or pay attention to it right away, um, but it's there and it fills in the gaps, even if you're not actively aware of it. So this is another pretty neat trick you can do. Something that will put your art on a higher level, art skill, I mean. All right, I think, well, maybe that one. One more. Yeah, I must admit it's kind of therapeutic. All right. All right. I don't think I need to dwell anymore here. And as she said that, she put in more strokes, for strokes. So, all right. But I think we're good to go here. I think we can start coloring the puppy. And usually, all the dogs in white bread art are inspired by a golden retriever because we have one and she's a pain in the butt. And she got sick last summer, and the veterinarians really messed her up a lot. Talk about incompetent people. But we've corrected the incompetence, but are still dealing with the aftermath of the incompetence. But she is feeling a lot better now. So, in the tradition of all white bread dogs, these do seem to be an homage to our red golden retriever, who's definitely love of our lives. Even though it's been really challenging for all of us to deal with her problems. Now her nose is kind of like, it's mostly black, but sometimes it gets those little pinkish spots in it. All right, so it's a strange mouth she's got, that I guess we will address. And let's see, let's give her some cool, unless it's a see-through. Let me see. Do we want to keep it like this, like a see-through chest, and then I might have to um, maybe add more leaves of grass? Um, or is it? I don't know if it's as interesting as if it were like some different dimension. I think I will try to go with a different color. And I, for some reason, just want to go blue. Now, the inner jowls of a golden are kind of dirty, dark purplish, I guess, something like this. And then, of course, the tongue, the sticky, licky tongue of a dog is obviously something like this. Looks pretty weird. All right, now we're gonna work on these little details here and create a bit of a, maybe I'll go for more earthy purple. I just grab the brush and go back to my basic brush for now. Yes. All right, and now I'm just gonna add these, the purple, kind of like purple light coming out from around her. And I also wanted to, while I'm here, let's try to address this ear. So I will erase any of the non-original lines. All right. Yes, my husband loves to portray our dog in the strangest ways. But it is like this drawing of her is very true to life. I don't know if you ever had a dog, a big dog with big fluffy mane, or I'm not sure if it's called maned. What is it called when the fur is on your chest? I mean, on your dog's chest. Um, I think there's like a word, not blubber, but is it blubber? Anyways, that part of her. If you have a big dog that's got a fluffy chest, and you throw them a piece of meat, cheese, anything, a piece of carrot, and then it gets stuck in their chest, and you're not intentionally trying to torment your dog, but sometimes it just happens. And then she goes into like starts doing this really stupid, like her neck is just, and her nose, she can't reach it, and she starts really like looking like that. So that was kind of from life, looking a little stupid. It's like for the most part, I think we have a rather graceful looking dog, but she is a golden, and goldens do stand out when it comes to goofiness. So some of those moments where she, when she goes into the goofy mode, um, you kind of like, not that you lose respect for your dog, but you're like, oh, come on, can't you just do it a little bit more gracefully? I don't know. That's the spirit of the golden, and there's grace, but there's also disgrace. All right, I'm not gonna do anything with that line yet because I need to provide a background color for the pup. All right, the pup. And what was this for? Yeah, this was not very necessary, but okay. I suppose I could erase it. Mhm. All right, pepperoni. All right, I think I'll continue with adding these cute highlights here. It's so funny. Before we got the dog, well, since we are on a dog topic, I might as well tell you how we got her. Um, I wanted a dog, but I never really was into Goldens because to me it always seemed like Golden is such a cliche breed, right? Oh, a couple with a Golden. It's just like so cliche. Of course, I was one of those people who wanted an Akita, which I guess in a way turned out to be somewhat cliche. Not as cliche as Huskies or even those Australian Shepherd dogs. It's so funny to see breeds go in and out of fashionable trends. But anyways, but I never really wanted a Golden for that reason. It's like such a stereotype. So I started looking into Asian dogs, and my husband had labs all his childhood. And he's like, "Well, can we do um, something closer to a lab, golden type of thing?" So we started looking to Bernese, which to me seemed like a pretty good compromise. And they seem like good dogs, and personality wise, they are close to labs and goldens. I would even say they're closer to goldens. Although Labrador Retriever and a Golden Retriever are considered to be somewhat sister breeds. Their personalities, I think, are rather different. And I have not yet met a dog that is not a Golden Retriever that has that Golden Retriever quality. I don't know. Only Golden so far like possess this like utmost friendliness plus, um, well, there's loyalty and all that, but also the goof. Like I just don't see that much goof in labs, but this like ultimate jokestery goof of a clown, like in a golden, and yet it's such a noble kind of in a way breed too. Anyways, enough of the just can't shut up about goldens. Anyways, so we kind of like we didn't want to get any dogs yet, but figured if one day we will get a dog, it will probably be a Bernese, which is a good compromise. Of course, life doesn't work like that, and it will throw you a dog, even if you weren't looking for one at that moment. And this is how it happened. We were living in Mexico, and we just moved to this huge acreage ranch. It had like carob trees, plantation on it, but also a lot of like grapefruit and orange trees. Really cool. And it was in Mexicans' wine country by the Guadalupe. Anyways, and so we haven't even been there 2 weeks, and suddenly my husband wakes me up, and I had this horrible migraine, and says, "Oh, come outside. There's a surprise for you." I'm like, "Surprise." I come out, and there's a golden retriever walking down our long, long driveway, and it's really hot. It's Mexico. It's I think it was like late March, early April, something like that. But it's Mexico, so it's hot. Um, and just the smile, I can see the smile meters away. And of course, and another thing, I was like, you recognize a golden by a smile. I don't know, they have that like really special smile. That's why I guess they're always casted for advertising. $1 million smile. Anyways, and it wasn't our dog. It was just this other golden retriever. We ended up calling him Socrates. He was a really great dog, but he was like half wild. It wasn't quite clear who owned him, and he just had that mm, kind of aura of being on his own. Someone was kind of taking care of him, but he was semi wild. Really friendly, really great. We tried domesticating him, and he didn't like that. I remember the first time I gave him a bath. The moment he got outside, he went and found cow flops and just like rolled in the cow flop demonstratively to kind of let us know that no baths, please. I like the natural smell of cow dung. And my husband went hunting with him, and he was a really great dog, but he was wild, and it was spring, and he was not fixed, and girls were going in heat around Mexico. So eventually he started running away and disappearing for prolonged periods of time. And we were worried, but I think we kind of both understood that that is a nature of a semi wild dog. And this is how he wants to live out his life. And we can't just domesticate him. It would be somewhat cruel. But everyone in the neighborhood noticed that we kind of took a liking to that golden Socrates. And one day, one of our neighbors came up to us and said, that's when the dog already disappeared. And he's like, "Oh, you guys like those kinds of dogs?" And we're like, "Yeah, he was great while he lasted, but he went chasing skirt." And the guy said, "I actually have a family member who's getting rid of one of these dogs." And by one of these dogs, he meant Goldens. And to Mexicans, on average, I'm not saying all of the Mexicans are like that, but on average, dogs to them are not like family members, and um, they don't have these. On average, I'm not saying everyone's like that. They don't bond these profound relationships with their dogs as much as whites do, like or Americans, Canadians, Europeans, Russians, Ukrainians. We have this like special relationships we have with dogs. So they were getting rid of her, and we were still kind of heartbroken a little bit that the other dog disappeared. Oh, it just told me that my connection was interrupted. No wonder. Anyways, and he's like, you're welcome to check her out and see if you like her, and because the family is getting rid of her. So we go to see the dog, and it's so funny. We meet the dog at Home Depot, and she's a Mexican dog, you know. So the moment we get out of the car, and that's our dog, she sees us, she runs to us and jumps on my husband first, and then jumps on me and just gives us this hug with the smile and happy as a clam. Just met us, doesn't know that the family is getting rid of her, doesn't seem to be too attached to the family. And so they just pawn this huge dog on us, and she looks awful. When we first met her, I thought it was a mix of Chow Chow and a golden. And eventually it turned out she was 8 months old, and they never brushed her. She still had like dead ticks stuck in her head, and all that puppy fur that was supposed to shed just got stuck in her because sh- she pretty much was abandoned by the Mexican family. And then later on, we found out that the family got her for this little girl as a puppy because she's cute and it's a golden puppy, and everyone was so enamored and in love with the thing. But then the thing grew, and now she's like 80 pounds. For a golden, she's rather big. Um, and they couldn't afford feeding her. And so they were kind of really glad to get rid of her. I felt slightly sad for the dog. I'm like, come on, you get a puppy, the puppy gets attached to you, and then it grows and you can't feed it and you just boot it out. Like, sorry. But we took her in, and my husband said, like, all right, this is going to be a drive test. I mean, test drive. We're test driving the dog. We're not keeping her. Obviously, eventually, we ended up keeping her. She grew on us. So we also found out that the dog, she grew up on a patio and they never walked her. So she had these like virgin cat-like paw pads that she couldn't really. She grew up on a patio with tile, and she for 8 months, first 8 months of her life, she didn't know what running really is on grass or gravel or dirt. She didn't walk on dirt, so we bring her on the ranch, and it's a ranch. It's a wild, semi-wild place, and she goes nuts. She's like OD'd on all of these smells and impressions, and there's sounds, and it's not patio anymore. She starts running and she finds out, we find out. I'm like, what's wrong with the dog? Does she have dysplasia or what? She just can't run at all. She's just like, like as if she were running on cactuses. And we thought like, oh wow, I guess the dog got some problems. Maybe she has dysplasia, and they're just like pawned it off because they didn't want to take care of it. In a couple of weeks, all of that was fixed, and she just needed to roughen up her pads. Um, so yeah, it was funny. This is how the dog just fell into our lap, and it was a golden. And I always thought, ah, golden, such a cliche. And now, um, I'm completely sold on Goldens. And if you ever were to manipulate me into anything, it would be a Golden that would do that. And it's something that I don't readily want to admit, but I am a sucker for Goldens. And I do admit all their faults and everything. But yes, we brushed out all the dead puppy fur out of her, and the beautiful red golden fur came out. She's like very setter like, slender, tall, but a golden. Um, but some people confuse her with a setter, Irish setter. Um, yeah, and she just grew and grew and grew on us, and she was such a pain in the behind. Disciplining her, 8 months old, they didn't do anything. She didn't know any commands. She wasn't potty trained. And we had in our living room, we had the same tile like they did in the patio. So she just went right in our living room. And I'm like, all right. And it took us a few months of me losing patience and yelling at her, and even like I had to hit her a couple of times, which I don't really feel like I'm proud of that moment, but I guess it was important for the discipline because eventually she learned to differentiate um, outside toilet and inside living. And we molded her in a wonderful puppy that she is now. Yes, this is just like a long, nobody wants to listen to how much you love your dog type of monologue. And I don't care what you think about it. Since I'm coloring a dog, I will be talking about her. Um, so in the end, it turned out to be the best um, dog I've ever had, and it's a golden, and it's a cliche, and I don't care. I love her, and she's an incredible dog. Lived a really healthy life, long healthy life, and then eventually, unfortunately, last summer she got a UTI, but we didn't know it was a UTI. We bring it to this vet, and they're such incompetent morons. I can't believe it. They should all be licenses revoked, shut down. I don't know. She has a fever and a bladder 5 times the size, healthy, like normal bladder. So clearly there's something wrong with the bladder, right? They take all these tests, supposedly, that's what they told us. And the doctor diagnoses her with a neurological disorder just because her back paw, like she's limping and she doesn't want to use her back paws. Would you want to use your back paws if you had the bladder 5 times the size? There's all that pressure, it hurts. Of course, you don't want to move, you don't want to walk. Anyways, they charge us crazy amount of money. She gave this bogus diagnosis that set us back like weeks. And then, like, the dog is having UTI. UTI is getting worse, and it's turning to sepsis. Anyways, the dog got sepsis and went into septic shock, and it was awful. And all because clowns couldn't diagnose her properly. Awful, awful clinic, awful doctors, awful techs, and they were all hangover on all of that, on top of everything. And because it was whatever, there was a holiday night before, so I don't care if it's a holiday. If you showed up to work and you're treating pets, you should either be mature enough to call in and say, "I'm sorry, I'm too messed up right now to show up. I'm afraid I'm gonna mess up some poor animal." Instead, they show up looking all like they made a bunch of horrible decisions last night. They reek of, they're dehydrated, they reek of some nasty cologne. It's the women text. They're awful. They're mistreating a dog. They're picking her up in all the wrong places. They're arguing with us. I'm pretty sure they helped progress her sepsis further on because they were shoving, and the place is dirty, dirty, dirty. There's all these people not sitting, not doing anything, and no one's cleaning up. And the place is just there's dust, there's fur, there's dandruff, there's it smells like pee. It's just very unsanitary, and they're shoving um, syringes up my dog's rear end. The first one, anyways, it was a torture of an experience. And they ripped us off, and they did some scammy practices. Didn't ask our consent. Went ahead and did a bunch of procedures we never agreed on, charged us for it. Again, we never agreed on. It's just awful. And that's an emergency clinic in Texas, pet clinic, and just utter, utter disregard for a pet's well-being, and utter incompetence, and an attitude too. They're just gonna give you a lip because they're hungover and they don't feel like working. But you showed up, your dog is sick, and so you're interrupting their day. Like it's just if you're gonna, you don't choose a career like being a doctor or a vet. Oh, because there's money in it. No, you choose it because you want to sincerely help animals in pain. All right, yes, I should get off my horse now. Anyways, yes, I already ranted about this many times and I still can't let it go because the pup is still recovering. All right, so this looks pretty good. I like it. It's very pup. I'm almost thinking, you know what? I'm almost thinking to people are just like, just let it go, just move on to the new drawing. I'll do it all in good time. Um, kind of want to go back and interrupt this line a little bit. And I wanted to, to be subtly there, not just this like solid line, like the way it was more originally. So yeah, that's world for you. You love something, you want to preserve it, but unfortunately, you have to deal with people who are less than optimal and have attitudes and pride and are lazy. And they will mess your dog up in like 3 hours, and the dog's life changed drastically for worse only because they're clowns. So, and when she got sepsis and all of it, we cured it. We didn't bring her to any vets anymore. We just like we pumped her full of antibiotics and dealt with it, and she's feeling better now and better and better, but came at the big cost for the poor thing. All right. I'm just gonna quickly export this, and you guys will see a gray screen for a moment because that's the process of exporting something. And then we will move on to a new one. All right, but first, before I close it, I must make sure I have it. All right, cool, I got it. So we can close this. There's no need to save. And we can either do this. These guys look like a pair of anteaters in love. All right, so we have this, or let me just quickly check out. I know there's a lot more. Right, so this one was letter L, so we're still moving. All right, this one's abstract. Um, I'll put it here anyways, and we'll see what we can do. Um, this one's kind of cute, but didn't I have it? Let me just make sure. All right, so I don't think I did this, so let's check this one out too. Everyone's got their tongue stuck out. All right, so we got this. There's a lot of stuff here that I unfortunately forgot about, not on purpose. Um, all right, I suppose. All right, 3 more, and then we can start working on it, on one of these. We'll see which one we will tackle first. So while I'm waiting for that to open, all right, how are we doing here? Is it open? Yes. I guess, how about, let's try it. Let's start with this one and see where it will bring us. Just gotta quickly look it up and make sure I don't already have a duplicate of it. And that's the problem when you have too many files and then you can't keep track of everything all at once, and then things just get lost, forgotten, and on top of everything, you move around. And yeah, I guess I never colored this one, so we're gonna go ahead and color it. All right, first thing first, I will duplicate the layer, and then we're gonna get rid of this old watermark. Second, so you can see this is early white bread. Still getting to know paper and ink. Still developing strokes and oh yes, and finding the style. All right. So I'm gonna first of all separate this, and it'll be fun to provide that like light shadow play here. All right. All right. See, interesting drawing for sure. Makes you wonder. Its own kind of. This is its own kind of Rorschach test. I oftentimes say that about my husband's drawings. Because all of this is not premeditated. There's no pencil outline before. This is just bare ink on paper right away. So he never really knows what is going to come out from underneath the pen. In a way, I guess it is auto drawings where the unconscious, together with the subconscious, are teaming up and creating these images. So this can be viewed as a Rorschach test in a way that you can read, um, get a read on your psychology and where your um, mental state is at the moment. A lot of this can be also viewed as social commentary. So in this particular one, we could go down the promenade of trying to figure out what this all means. And of course, it's going to have individual meaning for each one of us. To me, this is pretty obvious. People are phonies, sometimes intentionally, other times non intentionally, because the world teaches us to be fake in order to be liked and appease the majority. And I'm not saying that like, oh, if you're genuine, you just go ahead and offense everybody. That's not what I'm trying to say. But most people are prone to putting on a fake face, putting on a fake smile, and not saying what they really want to say, not seeing what is obviously in front of them, living a pretend life, um, kind of isolated away in the huts of their uh, consciousness, being afraid of everything. And so being afraid of not being accepted, public acceptance, that's a big one, right? We all want to be accepted. Nobody wants to be a pariah. Um, but unfortunately, oftentimes when you do pursue um, something that is more genuine, uh, it oftentimes goes in disharmony with the uh, mainstream public beliefs. So when you do try to find something real in life, you will end up being more isolated, more of a pariah, not even on purpose, but it's just you're just gonna start feeling and seeing how phony around you everyone is from entertainment, news, TV. That is the utmost pinnacle of phoniness. Politicians, phoniness, celebrities, biggest phonies. Um, Actors, that's their job to be a phony. They get paid to be a phony. So are politicians. Politicians are just less attractive actors that are lashing out on the public because they weren't very attractive. So they are now going to be venging through a series of horrible decisions. And usually they're just all sellouts, anyways. So on the surface, it would appear that they're trying to provide a public service when in reality they are just bad actors and are acting out orders for pay. And most of those orders are against um, the well being of the population. So, yes, we're all closing our eyes and shutting up because we don't want to be pariahs, don't want to be disliked, don't want to be banned. And the internet is very um, strict. It's a big AI driven disciplinarian that is, shaking its little finger at us and telling us to behave. Otherwise, there will be consequences that we would not want to experience. So that's one way to look at it at this. Of course, you can personally come up with your own interpretation, and it also will be right because it will be in tune with your own mental state at the time and your thought process. Um, so that's my take on why my husband's art can be a sort of a Rorschach test. And a lot of art, I guess one can argue, could be that way, but I think not realistic art, obviously. Not even maybe surreal art, although a lot closer. But abstract art for sure can, well, if you look at real Rorschach tests, it is abstract art. And people see what their subconscious and consciousness wants to see in the images. That was my rant regarding that. And you guys didn't even unmute me, I'm sure. Talent wasted on the, what they say, youth is wasted on the young. Talent is wasted on the untalented ones. I don't know. Is that the logical sequence of thinking? All right, this one's going to be interesting to color, but first I do have to do all of this preliminary work, and then it'll be cool to color. Although I feel like my finger is starting to, see, crimp up a little bit. All right, wait a second. All right. Um, I don't see any gaps here. Looks pretty good, but I do have to do the same thing here because I want to separate those layers and put some shading on it and make it look more dramatic. And I think with this particular drawing, it will work and it will look, it will provide that effect. Because already there is movement, right? There's already like a lot of movement with all these tentacles, and tentacles are interesting too. And another way to look at this drawing as if you're using it as a Rorschach test, or just even to train your imagination, you know, in a way, it is kind of like a muscle, and just like your brain, your imagination also needs training. That's why adults lose that ability. Like children have all the time, although these days they're more distracted. But usually, it used to be that children had more time, more free time on their hands, and they could sit down. Or well, school is a good. I was daydreaming a ton at school. Not that it's the best thing to do, but you train your imagination. So for an adult, which in turn I think will help in the long run cumulatively um, provide more resistance for older people in regard of getting dementia, senility, Alzheimer's. It's you got to train your muscle, and you have to rip it out of its routine and create new challenging routines. That's why they say like, oh, older people really benefit with these like mental processes slowing down in older people. They really benefit from going out and learning how to dance, ball dancing, something like that, right? Or learning a new language, learning a new instrument, learning in general new skill, picking up drawing, anything that you have not done before in your life, to just kind of jolt you out, create that manageable, controlled stress in your mind and body where you're not used to doing something, and now it's like you have to learn it all over again. And that's what I think partially keeps your mind younger is to by consistently challenging it and not being stuck in just this one routine like, well, we know I've been doing yoga for 30 years and that's a good thing, but you've been in the same routine for 30 years. That's just for instance. You might want to pick up macrame or I don't know, well, anything else, tai chi, different kind of move bodily movement. So or so training our imagination. Man, I really like segue a lot, huh? That's also really good training for your mind. If you can go on walks and start a conversation and then like segue out in multiple other conversations that kind of like trickle out of the main up subject and then by the end connect all the dots and bring everything to the beginning and tie it in. That's also a really great exercise for the mind, for the brain. But anyways, another way to look at this is, well, let's see. Okay, so there's kind of like a puppeteer, right? That is also faceless, and there's also this vacuum behind this mask. We don't really know who this is and what this is. This is pretty much Wizard of Oz, right? It's just this big menacing skeleton, even if it's goofy looking, and it's got these tentacles, and it's shoving all these masks in our faces. And again, you can tie in phoniness into this, and it's trying to distract us, like a good magician. Hey, look over here, and I'll screw you over here, but you will not notice because your attention is all harnessed um, in the other direction. It's in the magician's pocket, and that's pretty much all it is. If you want to know the secret of the trick, break that hypnosis and don't look where the magician is pointing to look the other way, look what his other hidden hand is doing, and that would bring you a lot closer to reality of things, and that can be applied on many levels. All right, so would you get off your high horse now and let's color. All right, let's color. Let me just do some corporate shilling here. Eh, and people buy so many useless things, I personally think. No, let's just kind of keep everyone on this one. All right, let's color this guy. So I think I fixed all the gaps and let's see what we can do. This one's definitely fun and seeing, first of all, kind of more of a, yeah, the masks would be interesting to keep some sort of a more of a skin tone. Oh, wait, of course. And then eyes wide shut, eyes wide sewn. Could try to go and pick kind of like a bloody red since the eyes are shut, sewn. They don't see evil. They like the evil is hidden from them. And the same thing with the mouth. All right. And also here, just a slightly different color. And maybe more in the realm of this. And also go in and color these tiny details. Ooh, but not the outline. And this one we can go into like a redder um, realm, something like this. All right, that's sinister. Eyes are stapled. Stapled shut. Oh, actually, you know what? Let's just go for like a more dirty. Yeah, less green, more yellow. Yeah, take that green out. Dirtier yellow. And maybe somewhat of a silver color here. And then this guy, the main guy. He's creepy. He must stand out. And that's not making him stand out. It's a good color for this dude. Maybe something like this. And then some. What are you talking about? Yeah, who are you talking to? That's what people usually ask me. Um, got a nice brighter, but dirtier. Ah! All right. I think the food's ready. My hubby's calling me, so I'm just gonna go ahead and wrap up this stream. I might be back. Well, I definitely will have to finish these guys. So I'll be wrapping up. Thanks so much for coming in and clicking on stuff and supporting White Bread Art. Muy, muy appreciated. And I might be back with you in a few hours. And I'll see you then. For now, bye bye. Don't spend too much money on useless crap.